Welcome to Daily Variety, your daily dose of news and analysis for entertainment industry insiders. It's Thursday, July 24th, 2025. I'm your host, Cynthia Littleton. I am co-editor-in-chief of Variety alongside Ramin Stoute. I'm in LA, he's in New York, and Variety has reporters around the world covering the business of entertainment. In today's episode, we'll talk with Variety business editor Todd Spangler on Skydance Media's latest olive branches to the feds to get the Paramount Global merger completed. And we'll hear from Jem Aswad, executive editor of music, on how the music team landed on UnitedMasters founder Steve Stoute as Variety's Music Mogul of the Year. Before we get to that, here are a few headlines just in this morning that you need to know. Comcast has set the board of directors for the NBC Universal spinoff Versant. The board includes Versant CEO Mark Lazarus, former Disney executive Rebecca Campbell, and former Starbucks North America CEO Michael Conway. CBS News has formally named Tanya Simon as the new executive producer of 60 Minutes. If you read Variety and listen to this podcast, you know why that is a very tough gig. ITV has released its half-year results. The numbers show a 31% drop in profits on what the company notes are tough year-over-year comparables. The quarterly results were brighter for IMAX. Net income for the large-screen exhibitor doubled thanks to Sinners and F1 driving fans to premium screenings. The South Park standoff is over. Matt Stone and Trey Parker have reached a deal with Paramount to deliver 50 more episodes of the enduring animated comedy. The deal also makes all 26 previous seasons available for streaming on Paramount Plus for the first time. Now we turn to conversations with Variety journalists about news and trends in show business. Todd Spangler catches us up on the latest moves by Skydance Media and Paramount Global to complete the merger agreement that was first struck 12 months ago. Todd Spangler, thanks for joining me.
Hello, how are you?
We are keenly watching all of the news regarding Paramount Global and Skydance and their long merger process that has been drawn out with more drama than anybody could have imagined this time last year when they first announced that they were going to try to tie the knot. How do you read what Skydance is telling the FCC?
There are two areas that Skydance has focused in on, presumably through its conversations with the FCC. One is regarding DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the other is concerning viewpoint diversity. And these are both hobby horses of the Trump administration largely and of Brendan Carr, who is the handpicked chair of the FCC.
We've both covered a lot of M&A process, a lot of FCC reviews. Usually these reviews revolve around hard assets. You have to sell a certain number of stations. You have to divest a certain asset because you have too much concentration of power. This really feels like getting into editorial decisions, as it were, of a company in terms of what kind of policies, what kind of incentives that it wants to have.
Skydance counsel, the general counsel, the top lawyer of Skydance, reaffirmed that Skydance is committed to unbiased journalism and an embrace of diverse viewpoints. That seems innocuous. But again, keep in mind, the backdrop to this is that Paramount Global had just settled that lawsuit with Donald Trump. He alleged that 60 Minutes had engaged in some kind of deceptive editing of the Kamala Harris interview. Legal experts left and right, or maybe just left, let's put it that way, said that the Trump lawsuit was meritless. Paramount and CBS themselves said that this didn't have any merit and they were going to fight it on First Amendment grounds. Well, they settled. They paid $16 million, most of that going to Trump's future presidential library. So that looked like Paramount caving to pressure from the Trump administration to, do things in a certain way. So when the Skydance Council writes to the FCC, one of the new things that they've committed to is they will have in place an ombudsman who will report to the president of New Paramount, that's set to be Jeff Shell, who will, quote, receive and evaluate any complaints of bias or other concerns involving CBS.
They have committed to reaffirm Paramount Global's decision a couple of months ago under pressure from the Trump administration that we won't bring back any diversity, equity, and inclusion programs And that's telling a company how to manage its business. But certainly Paramount Global and now Skydance is not alone in kowtowing to this aggressive anti-DEI campaign.
Yeah, Brendan Carr has said that he would hold up M&A deals if companies didn't make such commitments to eliminating DEI. And in fact, the FCC approved a Verizon deal and a T-Mobile deal, basically concurrently with those companies making commitments that DEI is dead at their organizations.
In the big picture for Skydance Media and Paramount Global, the latest that we'd been hearing was early September-ish was the hoped for target of the closing date. Do you have anything more concrete on that?
They wanted this done yesterday. They wanted this signed, sealed, and approved by the end of the second quarter. So that was last month. But yeah, the expectation is that this will be now a matter of weeks.
Do you think that this whole process, that fact that it became such a political football, is going to put a chill on other M&A? Do you think that there's companies looking out there going, I don't know that I want to go through this right now with so much politicization of business and decisions and things like that?
No question about it. This is not a headache anybody wants to raise their hand for at this time.
So much to watch, Todd. Again, you always rise early and file. Thank you for taking the time to talk us through this seemingly never-ending Paramount Global merger.
No, we're going to stay on it.
Next up, we'll hear from Jem Aswad on why we chose UnitedMasters founder Steve Stoute as Variety's Music Mogul of the Year. Jem Aswad, Executive Editor of Music, thanks for joining me today.
Always a pleasure, boss.
This week's issue includes our annual Music Mogul of the Year selection. Jem, I know you and the music team take this very seriously. You look across the landscape all year and keep notes about who's making a real impact. How did you land on Steve Stoute, founder of UnitedMasters?
Well, Steve is one of those executives who's been around for so long and has been so consistent that you almost forget they're there. He's been ahead of everything that happened. He's always been the sort of person who can get in Jay-Z's ear, or, he's always had a very glamorous and high-flying clientele and circle of people that he works with. But he started off managing producers, music producers. Then he was managing artists. He managed the rapper Nas and he managed Mary J. Blige. At the same time, he became a top record executive.
What I found fascinating about him in your story was that he really did take a 90-degree turn after all of his success in music and decided, I want to learn the advertising business in a big way. Was that something that influenced your decision to choose him this year?
A key moment in his career was he oversaw the Men in Black soundtrack, the first Men in Black for Sony Music. And something he always says about that is, yeah, we sold 10 million CDs, but they sold 14 million Ray-Bans. And I feel like that was a real eureka moment for him. I'm not sure whether he sensed the change in the wind, unlike so many other people in the music business, because the CD boom was about to die. Napster was right around the corner. So Steve pivoted into advertising. He took the Men in Black model and made a business out of it. That business is translation, an agency that unites artists with brands. And Budweiser, Jay-Z, and Made in America came out of translation. So did McDonald's. I'm loving it. That's a huge reason why he was ahead of both the trend toward branding in music, because once artists couldn't really make money on CDs anymore, they needed something else, and there are brands sitting right there. He was right at the forefront of that.
He was a successful player in the music business and probably had connections, but you don't just land on Madison Avenue and launch a company. Did he apprentice anywhere, or he went straight to launching a company?
Something that was pretty key is the fact that Steve worked for Jimmy Iovine, and people always say that Jimmy Iovine can see around corners for what's coming next, so that probably stood him in good stead as well.
So most recently, he's launched a company called UnitedMasters, which also seems very ahead of the curve for musical artists in terms of two key words, ownership and control. Tell me about UnitedMasters.
Well, something else that he saw around the corner of is the last 10, 15 years, more and more artists have been realizing the value of owning their intellectual property. back when music had to be a physical product, somebody's not likely to go out and buy a CD pressing plant so they can press up their own music.
Let me ask you, Steve seems like he lives the high life there in Miami.
It certainly sounds that way. The top half lives very well in Miami, and it's easy to see how that would appeal to him because Steve comes out of 90s hip hop, flashy. He's the kind of person who attracts and knows how to speak to very important and very influential people. Obviously, his relationship with Jay-Z certainly speaks to that, but he's even moved into the rarefied world of Trumplandia, quite honestly, because after Trump's first campaign, Jared Kushner and Ivanka moved down to Miami. And as Steve puts it, he says they were very specific about who they wanted to hang out with. And Steve and his wife were two of those people. So now they're very good friends. And as everything goes in Trump world, that has opened up business opportunities for him as well, because he is now branching into the Middle East. And he said that Jared Kushner was the one to open his eyes to the possibilities there.
Jem, thank you for talking us through this, and thanks for finding us a very, very worthy person to give this recognition to.
And thank you for giving us a place to do it.
As we close out today's episode, here are a few things we're watching for. Next week will be a busy frame for media and entertainment earnings. Spotify and Electronic Arts report on Tuesday. Meta and Microsoft go on Wednesday. And Thursday brings Comcast, Universal Music Group, Apple, Amazon, and Roku. Coming up on Monday's episode, we'll have a report on the goings-on this weekend at San Diego Comic-Con. We'll also look at how the Fantastic Four: First Steps performs at its opening weekend. The movie is a big test for Marvel's reset strategy. Before we go, congrats to Elsa Ramo, leader of Ramo Law. The firm that started 20 years ago in a shabby trailer on the Universal backlot has grown to more than 50 employees. Variety's Todd Longwell has a great Ramo Law origin story that you can read on Variety.com right now. This episode was written and reported by me, Cynthia Littleton, with contributions from Todd Spangler and Jem Aswad. It was edited by Aaron Greenwald. Sticks, Nicks, Hick, Picks. Thanks for listening. Please leave us a review at the podcast platform of your choice, and please tune in Monday for another episode of Daily Variety.